Hey, Thomas here with the another video on the Artisan Sound channel. I'm here in my Qlab project for the Children of Eden show that we're doing at the Artisan, and I want to show you three things that are cool in Qlab, and one of them also connects with the X32 programming and remote controlling things. So number one, I wanted to show you how to create a fade out from an existing cue that then at the end of the fade out goes on with the next cue. Okay, so the idea here is to here we are. So the idea here is to fade out this cue when we're ready. There's actually some type of dialogue going on, and so once that dialogue is over, we want this to fade out, and then the next cue should automatically start. All right. So the way I've done this here in this case is I've created a fade. That's always the first thing you need to do. You need to create a fade on the cue that you want to fade out. So you select the cue that you want to fade, and then you select this here, this fade event. And then this thing here, this event will be created automatically. So once you click here, this will be created and it'll be placed right underneath this. And you need to do one thing. It has a red X here at first. And actually, let me just demonstrate it on this one. I'm going to delete it right away. So here's the deal. If I wanted to fade out this cue, I hit fade, and you see this creates a fade, but it has a red X. So to get rid of the red X, you have to be on the fade, and you select the audio levels tab, and you just move this master fader up and down so that it shows negative infinity here. Now you see, now this fade is valid. So, and the way it works is when you play this cue, at any time, when you then start this fade, it fades out, right? So that's what the fade event does. All right, now let's delete this fade event again. And I'll show you what the next thing here that I did. Oh, before I do that, one more thing that's really important here on that same tab as audio levels where we set the master fader to negative infinity, there's also a checkbox that you should check, and that says stop target when done. So what that does is it stops the file that was faded out from continuing to play. If you don't do that, it just continues to play. It plays at zero volume, but or negative infinity volume. But in order to actually stop it and not have like little orphan cues still playing, even though you don't hear them, you should check this box here, stop target when done. So I always do that. Okay, so now in order to do this in the way that I wanted to do this was I wanted to have a nice smooth fade, and then just before the fade is all the way done, I want the next cue to start. Okay. And so then the way to do this is, first of all, you create a new group, like this. You make sure that the mode of the group is set to timeline. And then you put that fade that you've created into this group. So that's what I did right here. Okay, so I'm going to remove this group. I've just showed you how I got to this step here. I named the group. I put this in the description of the group here so that I know, or the Qlab operator knows what's supposed to happen here. So you hit this event at the end of the dialogue, and that then auto starts. It makes a fade and then automatically starts the next cue. And then here I labeled this to make it clear. Starts automatically. Okay, so now what happens here is this fade doesn't start the next one automatically. It just fades, right? So now in order to get this overlap, what I did is I set the fade duration to 5 seconds. So it creates a 5-second fade on this cue that's fading out. And then when you set this group event here in the basics to auto continue, what that does, auto continue, fires the next event automatically at the same time as you fire this one. So if you just fire this one, you see here, I'm going to hit go right now, and you see this one will play and this one will also play, and then it'll arm this next one here so that the next click on go will start this cue here. Okay, so watch. Go. See, it jumps to 24, and now it starts this one. And so I don't want it to start this one right at the top of this fade, but rather towards the end of the fade, right? So therefore, what I've done here is I set the fade to 5 seconds, and I set the pre-wait time on this entire group here to 3 seconds, all right? So what that does is it'll apply the fade. Fade will, fade out this cue, and then it'll fade it out over 5 seconds. And after 3 seconds into the fade, this next cue here starts. All right. So let's do the whole thing from here. All right. Now let's say the dialogue is over. So I'm going to hit Q. Fades out. And right towards the end, the next cue starts. All right. So that's a nice and elegant way, and you can do it any way you want. You can, between the time duration that you set here for the duration of the fade and the pre-wait time that you set here for the follow-up cue, you can make this happen exactly the way you want. You can be very creative about that, or make it even, hit a musical beat, or, whatever you want to do. But this is flexible, so this is how you do that, right? Okay, now the next thing I wanted to show you is, I also made this a big note inside the title, so I think maybe I'll be able to find it this way, or maybe not. Oh, I think this was further in the beginning here. Here, not here, not here. No, I can't find it right now. I wanted to show you one. I wanted to show you one that goes, that plays the next cue after the first one is done. I guess I didn't save that in this file. I kind of was transferring it between different computers. That's fine. I'll show you that one later. Yeah. I don't know where it is. Okay, so then let's move on to the third thing that I want to show you. And that is, I'm going to make a setup like that helps me mix, or helps the mixer and the Qlab operator mix better without having to pay super close attention all the time. So what I have here is, this is my handy dandy spreadsheet where all of the Children of Eden sound work is done. And you see here in column D is the music cue number, and here's the music title and so forth. So now in this column G here, I've logged what happens at the beginning of the cue, and then also what changes. And I have the time number here, the time that passes from the beginning of that cue until whatever happens here happens. So right now, I want to just do a first path through this of simple automation. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the volume level of the music to 2 or 3 different levels, depending on whether there is singing at the beginning of the music right away, or whether there is dialogue at the beginning of the music. Okay, so depending on if there's dialogue, I want to play the music quieter. And if there is music, I want to play the music louder, right? So in order to get that done, I have come over here and created an event that affects my music fader. My music fader is on the DCA group number 1, and that's right here, okay? Now this one is a fancy one. I'm just going to set this slightly different here, DCA volume dialog, and you see, let me show you how this works in here. So in this, inside the settings, the MIDI destination is currently empty because I'm doing this at my house and I don't have currently a MIDI device or a Behringer X32 hooked up to this computer. So this is going to be empty for now, but once I'm back in the theater, I'm going to just set the device for all of the cues at the same time, and they'll all fall into place and all these red X's will go away. Okay, so what you do when you want to change the volume of any fader, you use a control change type MIDI message, okay, control change right here. And then channel 1 is volume, okay? Channel 1, that doesn't mean the channel on the board. That means whatever type of MIDI event this control change affects. Okay, so number 1, channel 1 is volume. And then this control number is the number of the fader that starts with number 1 for, or number 0 actually, for channel 1 on the console, and number 72 happens to be DCA group 1. Okay, so I've looked that up before and I know what that is, so that's what it is. Now this event here is a really nice event because you can apply a fade over a set duration. I don't want to do this right now, but just to show you, see, this here is currently set to be a fade from a level of 75 up to a level of 90. So this makes a volume increase from 75, which is kind of medium loud, to 90, which is pretty loud. 90 is kind of just underneath the 0 setting on the fader position. So when you set the fader position into the 0 setting that is marked on the board, that is where 90 is just below that. I think in theory 100 is supposed to be right on it, but I found that usually 95 or 98 is actually putting it right into the 0 position. Anyway, so I'm not going to configure these as let me see this here. Music volume for dialogue. Okay, that's how I'm going to name this event. And I'm just going to set this as a fixed volume. I'm going to set it to about 50. Okay. Okay, without a fade. All right. And now, actually, now I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to do the same thing also for singing, and the singing volume, starting volume for singing, I'm going to set this to 80. All right. So this is just giving me a difference, like an initial setting of how loud the cue is supposed to start when it's a singing cue versus how loud the cue is supposed to start when it's a cue that starts with dialogue. And I may refine these events in a little bit later, and I'll show you if I do that. I'll show you how I do this. But you see, since I have them named in a specific way here, once I have multiple of these events, I can use find on in Qlab and highlight all of the events that are the same, that have the same name, and then I can apply the same modification to that. And that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. Okay, so for now, what I'm going to do is, and I have this open on another sheet. I'm just going to show you here the first couple that I'm going to do. So here, music cue number 1 starts with singing. So I'm going to play this up at the singing volume. Number 2 also starts with singing. So I'm going to play this up at the singing volume as well. And then number 3 starts on the dialogue. And so I'm going to play this on the dialogue level, start this on the dialogue level, okay? So I'm going to look at this spreadsheet on another screen so I don't have to waste time and switch back and forth here all the time. But I'm going to let you know what I see in the spreadsheet. Okay, so right now we're going to just move this one to number 3 because that's going to start with dialogue level, music at the dialogue level, and then music level for singing. I'm going to copy that one and paste it right underneath this one. And now I'm going to refer to my sheet here, and I'm just going to go with the music level because I have this already in here. I'm going to copy this over to all of the cues that I have marked as starting with singing. Okay, number 6 also starts with singing. Number 7 starts with dialogue, 8 dialogue, 9 dialogue, 10 singing, 11 dialogue, 12 dialogue, 13 singing, 14 singing, 15 singing, 17. Okay, 17 is a special case. Okay, 20 singing. 23 singing. That will be right here. 24 singing. 25 singing. 27 singing. 28 singing. Thunder, that's a special case. I'm not going to touch that one. 30 singing. 32 singing. 33 singing. 34 singing. And 36 singing. Beautiful. All right, now I'm going to go back to the beginning and do the same for music volume for dialogue. And that is going to be number 3, 7, 8, 9. They do go to dialogue pretty soon. I mean, to singing pretty soon after that, but they should start quietly. Okay, so that's why I'm going to set this up like that. Or quieter, I should say. Okay, 11. Oops. 11, 12. 16. 18. 1, 2. 6. 31. 35. There you go. All right. That's all for that. So I'm going to show you later in the studio how this turns out. But for now, I just wanted to show you that. And that's it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching. Leave me a comment or a question if you have any, and leave a like if you like this video. Thanks a lot. This is Thomas Bartke signing off from the Artisan Sounds channel.